Hey, what's up, guys? It's Fando, the Fandom Knot. Welcome to the Fandom Knots. I'm gonna do a quickie review for Thor: Love and Thunder. It's not gonna be super in depth and analytical, and I'm gonna be doing all this research and they pulled this from there. No, it's not gonna be all that. It's just gonna be some quick thoughts that I had about the movie. Um, what I must say is I just saw it and fresh out of the theater. I must say I kind of have mixed feelings about it. It's not a bad movie at all. It's not a bad movie, but it's not the greatest Marvel movie or movie in general. Um, I do want to say that they have a lot of uh, they have a lot of jokes in the movie, which I think when you watch the movie, you're going to realize it's kind of disjointed in some ways. And, you know, maybe I'm starting off with the negatives, but I'm just going off the top of my head here. The movie feels kind of disjointed, especially when you watch certain scenes in the movie and you're like, why does it seem to be focusing on the humor much more than the serious things that are going on in the movie? And I feel like there has to be something going on with the executives or the suits at Marvel, cutting the movie down to about just 2 hours even. And there are a lot of things that required balance, as far as what there's a lot of jokes in the movie, and I think they kept the jokes but took out a lot of the drama, because they probably wanted a big like superhero, big blockbuster action movie that makes a lot of money, right? But the movie did have a lot of serious topics that it covered, and it was just that it seemed like they kind of move fast on certain things, or they kind of just jump to certain things for the sake of the humor. And I don't feel like that's a decision made by Taika Waititi, because when I see a lot of his other movies, I feel like he balances those things very well. I'm not sure how much creative freedom he got in this movie. Maybe one day we'll get like a director's cut or a behind the scenes thing that shows us like what was really going on in the making of Thor, or an extended version of Thor: The Love and Thunder, that allow us to know what was really going on there. Because when you watch the movie, you're like, wow, it's really funny, back to back jokes, and some of the jokes in there are truly hilarious. I was cracking up, and it was a good time overall. I want to make sure that's clear. But you can tell that my biggest issue with the movie is it was that, I mean, there's things, and this is a spoiler review. There's things that should have been, you know, how I say, like they should have sat down and focused more on it, right? They should have had something more focused on Jane's cancer, for example. It seems to be a big plot point, and at times, at least at the beginning half of the movie, it seems like they just kind of got into it, made a joke of it, and just gave you enough to explain that's what was going on during the movie. Also, things like Thor's kind of like existential crisis, or what his motivations are throughout the movie, or throughout the his life, and what he's looking for. And when he reunites with Jane again, it seems to be like that was the thing that reignited it. And it didn't in the first half again. Like it just seems like they would give you a little bit of that and then cut to a joke or cut to a scene that took away from that a lot of the times. And I think that was one of my biggest problems with the movie. I really do not feel like Taika Waititi, the director of the movie, got his chance to balance out the script or the story that was being told. It might have needed to be closer to a 3 hour movie, and I don't think the Marvel heads, or people heads at Disney, allowed him to do that. That's the vibe that I'm getting. So they had to cut down a lot of things, and the only things that they did keep were the jokey side of things. Again, not to say this movie was bad, but I feel like there is a version of that out there that exists that might have been a more well-rounded movie, right? Because when you look at his other movies, they have a lot of the humor, but they also balance it out, like we're describing here. But again, jokes fit. The jokes are really good. Like there's a lot of really good jokes in this movie. I generally cracked up a lot of the times. Of like the ongoing. There's this ongoing joke of I can't really say it, millionaire, the Hammer, and Stormbringer. And it kind of like plays off of the fact that Jane was Thor's ex, but his ex weapon is with Jane now, and his current thing is the Stormbringer, and that's a running joke that really worked for me in the movie. Sometimes it was kind of hard to find the plot of like. Sometimes I just kind of find it hard because it would move so fast a lot of times to actually figure out what's going on, but then I'll catch up. They'll give you certain things that allow you to catch up later on. One of the things I struggled with was what was the point of Gore taking all the children, and I get it. It was like it was kind of like a bait that he was trying to bait Thor to into a trap, and I think it was all for Stormbringer. That kind of made sense on the back half, but as you're watching it sometimes, and I think a lot of people in the theater felt this way, you weren't really sure what was going on there for a little bit. I think that could have been that could have been portrayed a little bit better, but minor things like that. The editing, and like it keeps tying back to this. The editing in the first half of the movie, I feel like they didn't really allow them to sit or sink into scenes very much for very long in this movie. Like a lot of the gore stuff was very good, and Christian Bale kills it, but it seems like every time you're just getting into like one of his monologues or one of his like just scenes where they just allow him to act and just express how he feels as that character, they would cut away, or they would like cut it short or edit it in this weird way where it just kind of like it didn't give him a full force punch that it should have gave. And I'm not sure why they did that, but even with that being said, Christian Bale still did very well. I actually think it would have been a stronger movie if they just let Christian Bale act as Gore for a lot longer than he did. He didn't seem to be a major focus in the movie, but what they eventually did with them just really works for me. Basically, Gore is just this guy who I'm not sure if they go into where he's a guy that prayed to the gods, and the gods didn't answer his prayers. His daughter ended up losing her life, and he lost his faith. But it was at this very convenient, specific time where there was this god butcher sword. I don't know what they call it. It's the dark sword or something that it gives him the power to kill gods. And conveniently, he gets the sword at the right time. You can tell with the editing how he gets the sword. Pay attention to that beginning. How he gets the sword is all very convenient timing, and like the way that's edited seems like, all right, let's get this ball rolling. The opening is just like let's go. All right, here he gets the sword here. Just give it. The plot. There you go. And okay, if you accept that for a wits, I will say the strong part of this movie is the back half. The back half, it looks like they let Taika keep. He must have fought for this because they let him keep certain things that made the movie feel a lot stronger. There were scenes on the back half of the movie that really like made me feel something, and especially compared to Doctor Strange 2, that was where I was hoping I wasn't gonna struggle with, because I'm not gonna lie, in Doctor Strange I could care less. Like I did not enjoy Doctor Strange 2 as much as a lot of the other Marvel movies. It wasn't even that it was bad; it was that it was mid tier, which actually makes it worse than a bad movie, because sometimes bad movies take risks and do something interesting, they just fail at it. Doctor Strange 2 just seemed like the most generic mid movie, and I thought going into this one I was like, please do not continue that trend. But Taika Waititi did what he could, and I definitely think it would have been a better movie if he had complete artistic control of it. But I don't think he got that opportunity. I think Suits got involved, like I said. And the end of the movie is actually very strong, at least in my opinion. They give Chris Hemsworth a chance to just act, bounce off Christian Bale. Jane Foster is there, and I think they all give like the climax of the movie. I think they give a lot of heart and emotion, and I felt a lot of things, and it gives a conclusion to the relationship between Thor and Jane. Thor is this god that has lived for thousands of years, and I've always wondered in the Thor series, how does Thor gonna like stay with Jane, because he's gonna live on forever, she's gonna die eventually, and this movie does give you that conclusion. It really does give you that conclusion. And so I think there's a lot of heart in that. The Guardians at the beginning of this movie, I mean, it was cool. They're barely in it. It was kind of funny, but then he leaves the Guardians, and it's whatever. And they did fine. I just wanted to see more of the Guardians. Every time I see the Guardians, I want more. So it is what it is on that end. But there's a lot of emotion at the end, and one of my favorite parts of the movie is not only does Thor like save the kids, the Asgardian kids, gives them a piece of them himself to like make them strong, and it's like a lot of like metaphorical stuff that they give there that I really do appreciate. But it gives it gives a conclusion to Thor's and Jane's relationship in a beautiful way. I think it was beautifully done because she does have cancer, and it's about like in a lot of ways letting go of love, it's just a lot about how to love someone, basically, and sometimes part of loving someone is to let them go. And I thought the way he teaches Christian Bale's Gore that in the final moments. I don't know. It just made me feel something, and I'm gonna give a movie credit every time it does. And Gore's motivations at first, like there are parts in the movie where it just wasn't clear for me. Like, okay, he wants to kill his god because he lost his kid, but then there's this whole plot with eternity, and I think and as a comic book, not diehard big comic book fan, but I am aware of who Eternity is. I thought that was really cool to see, and I thought that was a big risk. And kudos to Taika Waititi to include that in there if it was his idea. But it was really cool to see Eternity in there, and I didn't understand the plot of like the plot portion of what was Gore trying to do with Eternity? Was he trying to destroy the universe? I thought his plan was to destroy the gods, but apparently Eternity can grant wishes, which I don't think that's what he does. Eternity does in the comics, but whatever. I'm not trying to nitpick the movie so fast, but what Thor teaches Gore at the end of the movie is is that you really just need love in your life, and the way that the scene played out with Jane and Thor himself, and then Gore just watching that, he chose to bring his daughter back, and Thor, Mighty Thor, Jane Foster and Gore were going through something similar. They were both dying, and none of their godly powers could save them, and they chose to love at the end, right? And that's what Gore does. Gore uses eternity to bring back his daughter, and Thor lives his final moments with Jane. They kiss goodbye. And my favorite absolute part of this movie was that Thor finds a new reason to live. Like, he finds a new reason to keep going. And it is through his new, I don't know, his child. I guess he's a dad or an uncle. He decides to raise Gore's daughter. He promises Gore, like, hey, I'm going to take care of her after Gore asks him to please protect her. You know what I mean? And I absolutely love that plot dynamic for Thor, because he is struggling with that over the last few movies. Even if you watch Infinity War, he becomes Fat Thor. It's something he's been struggling with, his identity and where he is, and losing everyone, and he finds something new to live for, and it's this little girl who is resurrected by eternity, and she apparently is super powerful. She has these like godly powers. And I'm really curious to see where that goes. I want to see how they handle that. I want to see the next movie because of that, because Thor has something to care about again. And I thought that was fantastic. I love her. I love the little girl. She's gonna. I think as long as they keep that heart, that movie is gonna be great. Whatever the next movie is. And I think the beginning half was a little too jokey and edited weird, and I don't like the fact that Valkyrie takes a back seat in this movie a lot. But where it ends, it's pretty strong, and I have to give the movie credit for that. It's much better than Doctor Strange to me. Not as good as Spider-Man No Way Home. I would say Shang-Chi's overall a better movie. In this new phase of the Marvel movies, the MCU, like, I don't really like this new phase as much. I thought Eternals was an interesting movie, not the best movie ever. So I must say that, like, there are a lot of things to like in this new phase, especially in the TV shows, but there are a lot of these weird things going on with the movies post Endgame, and I'm finding myself not enjoying the movies as much, I guess is what I'm saying, or parts of the movies. There's still some like shining spots, but overall I'm not too excited of what's happening so far. But I will say Thor overall, because it has such a strong ending, at least for me, and there are some really funny moments. You can't deny funny. Like there's some funny moments in that movie. It made me laugh, it made me smile, it made me like Thor. It made me like Jane. It made me like Valkyrie. It made me like Korg. I just liked so many characters in this movie that I can't say I dislike it, even though I have issues with it. So is it worth the watch? Yes. Is it the best movie I've seen so far? No, it isn't the best movie I've seen so far this year. I still give that to Everything Everywhere at Once and Top Gun 2. Surprisingly, I don't know, but this was it's probably gonna make my top 10 of the year, and I appreciate a lot of things in it, and I was expecting not too many great things because of what I was hearing, too many jokes, but it ended up being fine. So, Thor: Love and Thunder, it is worth the watch. There are some issues. I do hope there's a director's cut one day. And one thing that this movie does that I love is it doesn't focus on the multiverse. Like, I am so sick of the multiverse and split timelines and these weird like these weird like what's going on with the physics of the Marvel universe and the connections here and the whatever there. I'm just so over it that I like seeing the movie that was just a straight up movie. Like it was just a straight up movie. You don't need the multiverse. You don't need a dimension. You don't need a whatever this or whatever that. You just get a movie that focuses on a story, and I really appreciated that about this movie. So that's one of the other things I like. But overall, it is worth the watch. It is a decent movie. It's a good movie. Not a great movie. It could have been better, and I hope to see a director's cut one day. I would like to see Taika Waititi's full vision, I would say. But yeah, overall, Thor. I guess I'll give it Thor: Love and Thunder. I guess I'll give it a 7 out of 10. How about that? 7 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. That's still pretty good for me. For me, I'm kind of bougie, but it was a fun movie, good time. Have some popcorn, have a drink or two, and just sit back, enjoy the show. Don't expect too much of it, and I think you'll like it. If you're a Thor fan, you might not like it, just because you probably want something more serious and dramatic. Which it can go there at times, but it just doesn't commit to that. So, but overall, 6.5 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for Thor: Love and Thunder. Overall, I had a good time. Ending was strong. Beginning needs some work, and yeah, Fandom Not out. That's what he thinks about the movie. Into the cosmos, or whatever you may say. You guys have a good one. I'll see you on the next one. Maybe I'll review Top Gun 2. I should probably go back to that one. I think I'll review Top Gun 2 next. Everywhere all at once. I might want to collaborate with someone to do that. But yeah, enjoy the movie. Thank you for coming to the video. Like and subscribe if you guys can. Like and subscribe. Comment, disagree, agree with me, do something, interact with me, hate me, love me, something. I need something from you. Fandom Not out.